Preview.
And here we are, episode 47, Mainline Marlins podcast, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google. Just go to our website, mainlinemarlins.com.
69th ranked
Sports news podcast in the United States, according to Apple Podcasts. So there you go. Also, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those other cool social media things. Tough loss last night.
I was
Nider,
watching.
Instead of throwing a bunch of balls, he threw a bunch of meatballs right down the middle and gave up two blasts.
We made those Orioles look like contenders.
Made them look like one of the prettiest birds ever live.
It was so funny. I was watching with my 8-year-old, and she was even like, "This game's a mess."
It is a mess.
She saw the pass balls, and it was nuts.
Yeah. And then you got the injury to Alfaro, which now puts us even in a shorter bench. And we found out what happens last night on the short bench. You got your freaking number 2 pitcher coming up to bat in the 9th inning with 2 outs. Yeah, which is no good.
Yeah,
he's 1 for 6.
It was interesting. We were singing the praises yesterday of Mattingly, and I was like, "Wow, how does this happen?"
Yeah.
It was funny because I let out a yell, or like I was frustrated, and my daughter, who should never have been up that late, but she's like, "What, Poppy? What? Why are you upset?" And I literally, she knows baseball, but I couldn't explain to her, like, it was too much. I was
There's
like,
a whole lot of stuff
this is
going
just
on.
like, this isn't the guy we should have it back right here.
Absolutely not. Like the worst guy. Actually, he did have a double a couple weeks or a couple games ago.
He's like, for having a pitcher up there, but like, how do you end up in that situation, man?
Yeah, short bench. And so now, with the injury to Marte, now you got the injury to Alfaro, which is a re-aggravated hamstring. That could be something that puts him on the IL.
Did you see him before he hit? How they knew on the broadcast, and he was like, he's like putting his batting gloves on. He's going down in the cage, taking.
Yeah,
it's
crazy,
terrible.
No, it's hilarious.
Just that summed up last night. It looked like just injury-plagued teams playing sloppy baseball.
Right, but now game. we did make a comeback. It was 6-1. Yeah. We came back to within 1, and then ended up blowing up at the end there.
Well, and our comeback got stymied by. We let them back. It's like we
let them have another couple runs.
We had
another run.
And then have another run
in the end.
And I just kind of took the air out of the game, I think.
Yeah. Christina DiNicola wrote a really good article about, why what happens when you got a short bench, and now what are some of the problems if Alfaro goes on the IL. And so I think we really got to consider, and I said this the other day, and this is going to be the cover of the podcast, the podcast art, whatever that is, Brian Navarretto. Brian Navarretto is at the ATS in the fish tank. We've got 2 other catchers up there. Sandy Leone, the guy that we non-roster invited from the ex-Boston guy that won a World Series with those guys. And then another kid who's kind of interesting, who's been around like in the A's organization since he was 16, kid named Santiago Chavez, a Mexican kid. He was actually, and this is kind of like a little side funny story, but you remember the Powers, Eastbound and Down.
Yeah.
With Danny McBride, Kenny Powers. Remember we played for the Charros? Okay, well, this guy actually played for the real Charros.
Wow.
Yeah, so pretty cool, but not a real good hitter, but an excellent defensive catcher. I think in his entire career has caught every 48% of the guys trying to steal second or steal a base, period. That's freaking pretty good. So we got some talent back there. I would say the best bat of those 3 is Navarretto, and that would be my move if we have to IL Alfaro. But the last time he had this thing, which was a week 10 days ago, he was out for 4 or 5 days.
So he missed like just less than a week.
Yeah. And I have zero confidence in Chad Wallach.
Although he came off the bench swinging that bat.
Yeah, well, you better, dude. You're
he even
walking on a freaking razor.
He even looked better framing the pitches. Like I
but there were still some things that he screwed up. Like, yeah.
But I got to tell you something. I don't know, man. I mean, I thought he was swinging that bat well. It's like maybe give him a chance to get in the groove, because I felt he looked a little more comfortable last night in general. I mean, I think it's almost like he saw an opportunity and he took advantage of it.
Right. And then, you know what? I finally figured out why would they put in Campbell like that? Because he's kind of like a long reliever.
Yeah.
Because they want to rest these guys. We're getting ready to go on a big long road trip.
Yeah, that's part of what's happening here. Is I don't disagree that it was
and he pitched pretty well. He only gave up one.
Yeah, no, he pitched pretty well.
Yeah. But Neidert, he fell on his face, pretty bad. But look, we got Trevor Rogers going today. I like that guy. He had a great outing last time against Zimmerman, who's just average with something like a 4.5, 4.24 ERA. So that's a 1:00 game. Unfortunately, you can't go because you have to go to court, but not on the bad side of it, on the good side.
I'll be in court, but exactly.
Not in criminal court,
but I'll be watching you out there. I'm jealous you get to go.
Yeah. So Grant and I are going to go the chamber event today at 1:00.
What's your prediction? It's interesting. You are known as the prognosticator.
Yeah.
You don't, we haven't really had you talk a lot about this. If like, what would be the betting line on today's game?
Well, let's just find out because.
And while you do that, I do want to talk about, last night, one of the most exciting things that's happening in South Florida. We're kind of having a great sports moment right now. The Heat are playing a little bit better, but these Florida Panthers are on fire.
You always got to sneak hockey in, bro.
And I got to
sort of Canadian, bro.
Last night, they had this young. In the middle of like the fiercest division race in hockey, they bring up this goalie,
right?
First goalie born in the 2000s.
Dang.
To start a game. The kid looks like something, remember Beverly Hills 90210?
Oh, he's one of those guys.
He looks like a character.
Luke Perry.
Because how usually goalies are like the weirdos, right? They look like they're just like they look weird. They're weird. This kid is like handsome, presentable, well-spoken. And he came in last night and won his first game.
That's awesome.
And it kind of made me think about some of this baseball stuff with like Jazz and stuff. It's like this kid came in and he said, they were like, were you nervous? And he gave a great answer. He was like, I was nervous as hell. But the guys came to me and just said, play hockey.
Right.
And there's an element of that, like with Jazz and these young guys that are coming up and getting a chance. It's like, hey, do what you do, man. Like show out here. And there's a lot of opportunities right now on this roster. If you're a player getting stuck in these positions, it's a real opportunity. So these games, this kind of reminds me of bring it back to the Heat when Spoelstra's messing around with those lineups, around with the lineups. That's what we're getting a chance to see here. We're getting to see some players. And so I think that's how I viewed the game last night was like, okay, this is our chance to see some guys in different positions. How do they do? And so it's good.
Yeah. Lewis Brinson was okay. Pretty good in the field.
Yeah.
So not a Starling Marte type bat, but we're gonna just have to deal with that, or we got to bring somebody else up.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that some of these guys, like the Blades, that are these top prospects that we've got, are gonna their careers are gonna accelerate. Their path to Miami or their path to Jacksonville is gonna get
every taste they get of the big dance.
Yeah,
helping them move forward. So what's the line?
All right, so here's the deal. So I did a show with Lee Sterling not too long ago about how to bet baseball. This is why you were on vacation. Yep. And so there's a money line, there's a run line, and there are totals. So I'm going to give what the money line is Miami minus 165. That means you bet 165 to win 100. If you took Baltimore, you bet 100, you get 135. So and then the total runs scored is 7.5. And that's minus 115. So if you think it's going to go over and it's going to be 8 or more runs, then you bet 115 to win 100.
So the idea is the Marlins are favored.
They are favored.
Which is interesting after last night's game.
Yep.
So
but I think that has a lot to do with Trevor Rogers. It's the lefty versus lefty and what our lineup's going to look like today.
Good.
So
I hate to give you an assignment, Tommy, but I think it would be cool every game to give us that.
Yeah, sure.
Although I found it interesting. You've kept betting out of this, and sometimes maybe you just like I don't bet personally, and I always say it's like this is my one escape,
right?
And I don't want to. Not that I'm opposed to betting at all. I just personally, I want to just sit and enjoy the game and not care,
right?
Other than just rooting for my team, but if I think it would be cool and a cool aspect.
For sure.
And then of course, everything we do is a competition. So I'll be keeping track. I'll be keeping track of your predictions.
And then there's certain spots. Like, listen, I hate to bet on the Marlins against the Marlins, But that game on Sunday, when I saw that pitching matchup and that lineup, I was like, this is going to be one of the lowest scoring. It's going to be a 1-0 or 2-1 game. And I should have bet the under.
You told me that on Friday night.
Yeah.
You told me that on Friday night, and you were right.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's certain spots because we know the lineups. We know the pitchers that are going. And, I don't know that I would have bet an over in last night's game against Snyder because I'm rooting for the guy to have a better outing than he did, and he did decrease the walks a little bit, but giving up 2 big home runs hurt us. And it's tough to claw back when you're down 6-1.
Well, can you look last night? What was the over under on runs last night?
Well, let's see if they even have
just
that.
Because I guarantee you no one was expecting that offensive explosion.
Let's see if I can find it. I don't know. I might have to go into
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I'll look it up and update tomorrow.
Well, let's start doing that as part of the show because I think it would be cool for everyone to see. I find it interesting. I find it interesting how often the wise guys get it right. So I'd love to know and then compare it against what you're thinking. And like you said, some of our, you follow a team closely, you get these feelings. And I got to tell you something, like, we talked about it yesterday that this is a rough game. Like you play every game, but you end up with, it's like, oh my God, like this is our last couple games at home. And then we got this road game. Like it's just, you can see the team's a little flat. They looked they're injured. There's a lot going on right now. Yeah. And then I got to tell you something. I think if I was a betting person, I would bet on the Marlins today because of why? A lot of those guys that had their starts for the first time yesterday are going to play better today. You're going to see people take into these positions.
Yep.
And so anyways.
Yeah, with the Brinson, with the John Birdie, I mean, that guy can play the outfield too. I'm still not, I'm not completely down with the Brinson versus the idea of Duvall, Dickerson, Cooper. Because those guys that,
it's early in the season. I mean, I think that there's a little bit of an element of, I saw they brought him up and I thought, I thought about our discussion and I was like, you know what? Give the kid a chance. I think that's part of the attitude here too, is like, these guys are not so dominant that they can't sit him down for a game or two and see what Brinson can do. And, I mean, after the Jazz experience, it's almost like give the guys a chance. I mean, I said, going back.
But no, you're talking about 2 totally different type of players. But
I know, but still, it's like you never know. And I think
it could be that one defensive catch in the outfield he makes that saves them from a couple runs. And
it was like bringing up that Panthers goalie. I was reminded of something my father would
again
always
with the hockey
about. But he would always say about certain teams, like you'd be watching the NCAA basketball tournament, something like those guys are too stupid to be scared.
Right. They don't even have teeth. Yeah, you don't get your teeth fixed until you're done with hockey, right? Isn't that how that works? All right, so 1:10 start today. I'll be there. Zimmerman versus Trevor Rogers. Let's see if we can get a W before we go on this road trip.
Awesome. So, enjoy the game.
Episode 47, Mainline Marlins podcast. Thanks.
In the books.
Flip the M.
Preview.